Okay, this is part 6 from the book Prevent and Reverse Obesity by me, Pete Rogers. If you're following along in the book, we're on page 43. So part 6, we're actually on rule number 6 as well. So rule number 6 of how to lose weight is only eat single ingredient foods. Because if they put a second ingredient, that means it's probably a processed food. And they can put things in there like MSG, monosodium glutamate, MFG, manufactured free glutamate. And that does make it taste good, but it gets you to tend to overeat. They call those hyperpalatable foods, or UPF, ultra processed foods. Okay. Most of the best foods don't even have a label. You just buy the fruit, you buy the starch. There's no label on it. Okay. Okay. The next rule for optimizing your body weight is try to learn some epidemiology. Once you study a little epidemiology, it becomes pretty obvious. Like Dr. McDougall had said, all large healthy populations are starch-based. There are no exceptions, okay? And for this one, we'll just take, the classic trip. Go down to northern Mexico where you see the Tarahumara. It means fleet of foot, long distance runners. These guys can run over 100 miles in 2 days. They eat their old-fashioned diet. Here, let me scroll it up. Okay, so here's a map to orientate yourself. There's Pimas. The Pimas have been absorbed into Arizona after the Mexican-American War in 1848, whereas the Tarahumara in northern Mexico and the Sierra means saw, like the up and down tops of the mountains, Sierra Madre Mountains and Copper Canyon area. And they're both, genetically the same population, but they're split apart, and it's a good epidemiology migration study experiment. So these guys are still healthy and skinny. They adopted the Western ways with the standard American diet. They're fat and sick. And that's how it always is. Genetics is not the issue. It's the diet more so than anything else. So here's a picture of the Pima. They get all the typical Western diseases, diabetes, end up with amputations, lots of gallstones. They eat a low-fiber diet. They're constipated. They get appendicitis, diverticulitis, sigmoid colon resections, common with that. There's all these same habits cause atherosclerosis. The gateway diseases, it's always the same thing. High blood pressure and prediabetes, diabetes, causing atherosclerosis, plugging arteries up all over the body, lack of dietary fiber, abdominal pressure syndrome, everything that goes with that. Whereas Tarahumara, they're eating all the corn, local greens, some beans, squash. They can run 100 miles in 2 days. Nathan Pritikin was so impressed by them, he patterned his diet after them. And other scientists went out there and studied them. I think Ruth Heidrich went out and trained with them. Some other ultramarathoners have gone out there to study them. William O'Connor, who was a friend of T. Colin Campbell, went out and studied them. They all find the same thing. These traditional populations eating primarily plant-based diets. They don't have any hypertension. They don't have any diabetes. They're not overweight. They don't have any coronary artery disease. That's just the typical pattern one sees. And that's why you can be real confident that's what works. They're not taking a bunch of supplements. They're not member of a health club. Okay, here's some numbers on them. They had no coronary disease. Average total cholesterol was about 136. Average triglyceride was 115, so it was over 100. Their diet was about 75% carbohydrate, 13% protein, 12% fat. Yep, Ruth Heidrich went out there with them. Here's a paper on them by William Connor, the friend of Campbell. 523 healthy Tarahumaras aged 5 to 70 years. In his study, the average plasma cholesterol was 125. Okay. Average triglyceride was 115, plus or minus 50. Okay. Let's see what else interesting. A lot of corn and beans were the main calorie sources. Virtual absence of anybody with hypertension, obesity, and they didn't get the usual rise in serum cholesterol like most Americans do. You can look them up pretty easy on the internet and YouTube and stuff. Okay, here's another population, just more of the same. And the reason it's good to hear is because you hear some people say, I hear too much contradictory information. All these so-called experts who seem to be legitimate, university degree or whatever, others, the usual nonsense. To me, university degree means almost nothing nowadays. They tell you opposing things. One says eat high-fat diet, the other says eat low-fat diet. Pritikin, by the way, said that's the key way to divide diets, by high-fat or low-fat. And it's obvious if you look at the history, the low-fat diets are the ones where you have all the healthy people. Okay, but the big food companies, they got to keep people eating their junk food, so they're promoting all this high-fat stuff. And big pharma, they want the public to eat high fat, so they'll be sick. Okay, and then you make money off them selling them drugs. Here's a Yanomamo of South America, Amazon jungle on the border of Venezuela and Brazil, and they're eating a plant-based diet. They don't have any salt added. They have, you check their urine, you can't find almost any sodium in it. The kidney's great at conserving sodium. They don't have any high blood pressure. They got the same blood pressure in their teens as they do in their 60s. Okay, and they have a reputation as kind of being violent maniacs. Their tribes and whatnot. They fight with the other local tribes. They steal their women and stuff like that. And despite all the stress of that type of lifestyle, they don't have any problem with hypertension. So stress is bad, but diet's more important than stress is. They've seen that also with the rationing studies from World War I and World War II. The populations will become healthier despite all the stress because they're eating less meat and oils. Okay, actually, I think we'll call it right there for today. That was part number 6 of how to lose weight, and it was especially the focus on epidemiology. I hope you found that helpful.